Abuse rarely starts with violence. In fact, most abusive relationships begin with affection, charm, and connection. But beneath that surface is a well-documented cycle, one that repeats itself with increasing intensity. Psychological abuse is an integral part of the strategies used by an abuser to exert power in an intimate relationship. These are strategies in which the abuser targets different components of a person's identity and psychological health: self-confidence, self-esteem, self-image, perceptions, emotions, thoughts, dignity, psychological functioning, and mental health. In this way, the abuser can destabilize the victim and weaken them in their very core, to make it easier to gain a psychological hold on them. As a psychologist, I've seen this pattern play out in countless cases. Today, I'm going to walk you through the 5 stages of abuse, and explain why stage 3 is often the most dangerous turning point. In the first stage, the abuser appears caring, affectionate, and attentive. This is what most psychologists call the idealization or honeymoon phase. The tool the abuser uses here is called love bombing. Love bombing involves showering the victim with excessive and unexpected compliments, affection, attention, appreciation, gifts, and gestures of love, often very early in the relationship. The abuser's aim is to create an intense emotional bond to encourage rapid attachment and then major commitments on the part of the victim. The abuser may then demand some form of reciprocity and foster a sense of indebtedness in the victim, and thus begin to impose certain things on them. Blue Book Psych Insight: fast-moving relationships that feel too good to be true can be early signs of a power imbalance. Stage 2. Social restriction or isolation, cutting off support systems. Once trust is established, the abuser often begins isolating the victim from friends, family, and outside influences. This can take the form of exclusion, i.e., a partner may deliberately exclude the victim from certain social circles where the victim should normally be welcome, family, a circle of friends, etc., often by manipulating the members of those circles against the victim. They might criticize loved ones, create drama to discourage outside contact, or frame isolation as an act of intimacy. It's just us against the world. Over time, this erodes the victim's support system, leaving them increasingly reliant on the abuser for validation and security. Blue Book Psych Insight: isolation isn't always physical. Emotional isolation, discouraging outside opinions or downplaying others' concerns, is just as damaging. Stage 3. Devaluation and control. The critical shift. Stage 3 is where the true nature of the abuse begins to surface, and it's often the most dangerous point in the cycle. Affection gives way to control, criticism, and emotional manipulation. The abuser may belittle, mock, or gaslight the victim, questioning their reality, memory, or even sanity. Victims begin to doubt themselves. They may feel like they're always walking on eggshells, not knowing what will trigger the next emotional outburst. This stage also lays the foundation for potential escalation into verbal, financial, or physical abuse. Blue Book Psych Insight: this phase breaks down the victim's sense of identity. It's not just about control, it's about dismantling the person's inner compass. Stage 4. Gaslighting and blame shifting. You made me do this. When the abuser is confronted, they rarely take responsibility. Instead, they deflect, blaming stress, childhood trauma, or worse, the victim themselves. Gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation in which the abuser attempts to impose a false version of reality on the victim. To achieve this, the abuser may discredit the victim's perceptions, question the victim's memories, or disqualify their interpretation of reality. They might say, "You're too sensitive," or "You pushed me too far." Sometimes they cry, apologize, and promise change, only to repeat the behavior again. This reinforces confusion and self-blame in the victim, making them more likely to stay, hoping the good version of the abuser will return. Blue Book Psych Insight: this cycle of hurt and apology creates what psychologists call intermittent reinforcement, a powerful psychological trap that keeps victims emotionally invested despite the harm. Stage 5. Resignation or escalation, a learned helplessness. In the final stage, the victim may emotionally shut down. They begin to believe the abuse is normal, or even deserved. For some, this resignation becomes chronic. For others, the relationship escalates into physical violence or legal entrapment. Without intervention, this cycle continues, each loop more damaging than the last. Blue Book Psych Insight: what we often mistake as staying for love is usually a result of emotional exhaustion, fear, or trauma bonding, not choice. If you see yourself or someone you care about in any of these stages, know this: abuse is never your fault, and it is possible to break the cycle with support, education, and the right resources. If you found this video helpful, subscribe to Psych2Go Community for more insights into psychology, emotional health, and recovery. We post weekly videos designed to help you better understand human behavior, mental health, set healthy boundaries, and protect your mental well-being. Our short, animated videos make psychology practical, relatable, and easy to understand. Subscribe now and share this video. Awareness saves lives.